Let's take a look at how to solve 5 easy probability questions, but this time involving 2 dice. So let's say we want to find out the probability that when we roll 2 dice, what is the probability that first question we get same numbers on the top. Second question, the sum of 2 numbers is 10. Third question, the sum of 2 numbers will be greater than 9. Fourth question, sum of 2 numbers equal to less than 8. And finally, the fifth question is what is the probability that we get both prime numbers when we roll 2 dice. Now, when we roll 2 dice, let's say this is dice 1, we get something on the top. Let's call that x. When we roll the second dice, we get something on the top, we get y. So the first question is saying what is the probability that x equals y? The second question is saying what is the probability that when we add x and y, we get equal to 10. Third one similarly saying what is the probability that we will have x plus y greater than 9. For question number 4, x plus y less than equal to 8. And question number 5 is simply saying what is the probability that we will have both numbers show prime numbers. We have seen that probability of any event is described as a ratio of number of favorable outcomes to the event divided by number of all possible outcomes. Now, when we roll 2 dice, right? When we roll 2 dice, how many outcomes are possible? We know there are 36 possible outcomes. And what are they? We know that when we roll 2 dice, we represent the outcomes as we put a bracket or parenthesis. Then we show the value of the first dice. And then we put a comma. And then we show the value of the second dice. So this is dice 1. This is dice 2. So this entire thing is one outcome. Right? So this outcome shows dice 1 we get 1 and dice 2 we get 1. So similarly we can say that we can get dice 1 as this and dice 2 as this. Dice 1, dice 2, dice 1, dice 2, dice 1, dice 2, dice 1 and dice 2. So here we have 6 outcomes where the first dice is showing 1 and the second dice has all these values. So similarly, we know we can say for dice 1 we can get this and dice 2 can be this, and then similarly we will get all of this and here we will get 2, 6, right? So similarly we can have 3, 1, 3, 2. I'm not writing all these values, and here we will have 3, 6. And now we can have 4, 1, we can have 4, 2, so on and so forth, and 4, 6. Fifth one, 5, 1, 5, 2, and so on and so forth, and 5, 6. You already know about this. So these are all of the outcomes that can happen when we roll 2 dice. Right? So the total possible outcome, each one of them is an outcome. So we have 36 of them, right? So we have 6 over here, 6 over here, 6 over here, 6, 6, and 6. So 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 36. So 6 times 6, 36. Now let's go back to our event and find out what is the probability. So we get the same number on the top. So of all of these outcomes, which outcomes have same number? Well, 1, 1 will be same. Let's write it over here. So outcome. So we have outcome when we have same number. Which is same numbers. What are those outcomes? Well, 1, 1 is an outcome. 2, 2 is another outcome. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6, 6. So the outcomes when we have same numbers on both dice, these are the ones. So how do we define then the probability of the event we get same numbers or nums? So that will be, what is the definition of probability? It is simply number of favorable outcomes to the event by all possible outcomes. So there are 6 outcomes, and these are the 6 outcomes which are favorable to our event. We get same numbers. So we say it is 6 divided by total number of outcomes, which is 36, or this probability is simply 1 divided by 6. This is the answer to the first question, that we get same number. Right? Now let's go back and take a look at the second question. Sum of two numbers is equals 10. So let's give ourselves a little bit. Let's clear this up. Now, so sum of two numbers is 10. So we know total outcomes are 36. So let's say we have the first number, dice 1 is 1 and 1, right? Similarly, we will get here 1 and 6, right? Now here, if we add them, we get number 2. Here, if we add them, we get 7. All these values are in between. So the sum for all of them is in between, and they're less than 7. So none of them will be favorable to our event when the sum is 10. So similarly, for the second row, we start here, and second row we end here. So here 2 plus 1 is 3, and here this is 8. Again, all of these values here are, the sum is in between them, right? The way sum was in between. So again, we will not get to 10 here, right? Similarly, let's do it over here. For the third row, it will start from 3 and 1, and it will go 3 and 6. And here if we add them, we get 4, and here if we add them, we get 9. So all the rest are in between. The sum is in between. We have still not gotten to 10. It's when we get to the fourth row here, and then the last value here will be 4 and 6. Now here we have, this is 5 and this is 10. Now we have seen a 10, right, which is this outcome. Alright, so we have found out one favorable outcome to our event, the sum is 10. For the fifth, so we start from this, and then we go to 5 and 6. So this is 6 and this is 11. So here we will have two values, so 5 and 6, that is 11. Also 5 and 5, right, which will be over here. So 5 and 5. So now we have found out one outcome which is favorable, sum 10. And here, now this is 11, so this will be 10. So we have found out one more. This does not count. We are trying to find out when the sum is equal to 10. So 4 and 6 is 1, 5 and 5 is another one. And as you can guess, the last one will be 6 and 4. So the outcomes, let's write it over here. The outcomes which are favorable to event sum equals 10. What are the outcomes? We saw the outcomes, they are 4, 6, they are 5, 5, and they are 6, 4. That means there are 3 outcomes, right? So we say probability of the event that the sum of the two numbers that show up on the top of the two dice being equal to 10 is the number of outcomes favorable to the event, there are 3 of them, divided by total possible outcomes, that's 36, or this will be simply equal to 1 divided by 12. That is our answer. Alright, let's move on to our third question. What is the third question? Let's clean this up a little bit here. And third question is the sum of two numbers is greater than 9. So again, we have seen that in the first row, we will have none of the numbers greater than 9, right? So here and here, none of the numbers are greater than 9, right? For 2, 1, 2, 2, 6, none of the numbers are greater than 9. Let's keep going. Then from 3, 1 to 3, 6. Now here 3 plus 6 is 9, but we are looking for greater than 9, right? Our event is greater than 9. So this will be just equal to 9. So far we have gotten no favorable outcomes. What about 4 and 1 and 4 and 6? clearly this is 10. We add them, it is 10. So 4 and 5 will give us 9, right? But 4 and 4 is 10. So this is the first outcome, this outcome, which is favorable, which is greater than 10. The sum is greater than 10. Let's do the fifth row. So we have this, and the last one will be here. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space. And now here this will be 6, and this will be 11, right? So here if you add them, then we get 6, and here we get 11. So now over here we will have some values, right? Because if 5 and 6 add up 11, 5 and 5 is 10, right? So we can say 5 and 5, that will give us 10. And similarly 5 and 4. Well, 5 and 4 will give us 9, but we need greater than 9, so this doesn't count. So 5 and 5 is 10, that works. And 5 and 6 is 11, that works. So we have found out one favorable event, outcome, second outcome, third outcome. Similarly, when we look at 6 and 1 through 6 and 6, here 6 and 6 is 12. So we will have 12, then we will have 11, and then we will have a 10. So 10 will be 6 and 4, then 6 and 5 will be 11, and 6 and 6 will be 12. So all of these outcomes, let me highlight them with maybe a different color here. So this outcome, these two outcomes, and these three outcomes, all these outcomes, so put them in the bracket here or box. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 outcomes are favorable to our event. The sum is greater than 9. So we say that probability of the event that the sum of two numbers greater than 9, how many favorable outcomes are there? There are a total of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 outcomes. How many total outcomes are there when we roll 2 dice? 36. Or this will be 1 divided by 6. Let's take a look at the last 2 questions. I know this video is becoming quite big, quite long. So let's try to wrap up the last 2 questions really quickly. Let's clear this up. Sum of two numbers less than equal to 8. Right? So the first set of numbers from 1, 1 through 1, 6. 1, 6 is 7. So all of these outcomes, they are favorable, right? The sum here is 2, and then here sum is 7. So all of these values are less than equal to 8. Our criteria is less than equal to 8. All of these numbers are that. Now, when we do 2, 1 through 2, 6, now this is 3 and this is 8, right? So again, all these values are less than equal to 8. So all of these 6 outcomes are favorable. All of these 6 outcomes are favorable, right? Let's keep going. Let's say when we do 3, 1 through 3, 6, how many are favorable, which is less than equal to 8? Now this is 4, and here this is 9. So 9 does not work. We are trying to, highest value is 8. That means here of the 6, 5 values are favorable. 5 outcomes are favorable, I should say, to our event, right? Similarly, if we do 4, 1 through 4, 6. So this is 5, and here this is 10, right? Now, of these 6 values, how many are less than equal to 8? Well, 10 doesn't work, 9 doesn't work. That means we get 4 outcomes here which are favorable. And so now let's do the 5, 1 through 5, 6. How many values here are favorable to our outcomes are favorable? So this will be 6 if you add them, 6, and if you add them you get 11, right? So here the 11 doesn't work, right? So the 11 will not work. Let's write it over here. Let's write the values. So 6, I'm writing the sums here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So this does not work, this does not work, this does not work. So 3 outcomes are favorable. And finally, if we do 6, 1 from here to 6, 6. So this sum is 7 and this sum is 12. So all of the values are in between here. So we will have basically, let's do it here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are the sums. So 12 is more than 8, more than 8, more than 8, more than equal 8. This is more than equal to 8. So these two values work. So here we have two outcomes, which are these two. So in this we get two outcomes which are favorable to our event. So let's now write all of the outcomes which are, or count how many outcomes are favorable to our event. Outcomes which are favorable to the event, and sum is less than equal to 8. How many such outcomes have we identified so far? 6 plus 6, 12, plus 5, 17, plus 4, 21, 21 plus 3, 21, 24, 25, 26. 26 outcomes are favorable to the event that the sum of two numbers is less than equal to 8. So what is the probability? The probability of this event, sum less than equal to 8, will be 26 favorable outcomes by 36 total outcomes. And divide both sides by 2, so this will be 13, this will be 18. This is the desired probability. I think we have, I know the video has become really long, but we have still one more question to go, so let's quickly get to it. So the probability that we will get both prime numbers. Now it's important to know what are prime numbers. We know all our outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Now, of these numbers, which are prime? This is a prime number, this is a prime number, this is a prime number. So what we are trying to find out is, we want to get both prime numbers, right? So there are total 36 outcomes, but when we get both prime numbers, see, when we do 1, and from here through 1 and 6, obviously one of the numbers is 1, so none of these work for us, none of these outcomes are favorable. However, when we start with 2, right, and when we get 2, 2, this is favorable. When we get 2, 3, this is favorable. When we get 2, 5, this is favorable. So these 3 are favorable outcomes to our event. Similarly, when we get 3, 2, or 3, 3, or 3, 5, these are favorable outcomes. So here we have 3 favorable outcomes. Here we have 3 favorable outcomes. And now when we do 5, 2, when we say 5, 3, and when we say 5, 5, we get 3 favorable outcomes. So these are outcomes which we have shown here where we get both prime numbers, right? So there are a total of 9 such outcomes. So the probability that we will get both prime numbers is 3 plus 3 plus 3, 9 divided by 36, or which is simply 1 by 4. Now if the question were given that find out the probability of getting both prime numbers but which are not the same, in that case our outcomes favorable will be still 3 plus 3 plus 3, but in that case we have to eliminate 2 and 2, 3 and 3, and 5 and 5. So this is how, friends, we solve some of the easy questions involving two dice.